So today in this film, we're going to shoot 3 different arrows at armour samples. So when we get into our main film tomorrow, we have a better understanding of what this guy is going to be facing. But Joe, you've never shot a Type 16 or a 21B at plate?
Nope, never.
Ooh. Hi, it's Todd here, and we are back with Arrows vs Armour 3, a series of films where we look in spectacular detail at what happens when arrows strike armour. This first essential and valuable research film is going to take place to do our homework before we carry on with our main spectacular film. And with us today we have warbow archer Joe Gibbs, Master Fletcher, Will Sherman and Medieval Arrows, our arms and armour historian Dr. Toby Capwell, and myself, Todd from Todd's Workshop. Before we're let loose onto a project like this, we need to do our homework because there has been a massive change. And we are now using a new arrowhead beloved by the English in the later medieval period. The steel tips, bladed and barbed, Type 16. So in this film, we're going to take our old arrow types and 2 new arrow types and shoot them against armour samples and compare directly how one penetrates relative to another. So when we get into our main film tomorrow, we have a better understanding of what this guy is going to be facing. To find out more about the arrows, I'm going to hand over to Toby and Will.
So we've done loads of testing with these. Why are we changing arrowhead type now?
So the reason we're looking at these 2 new types fundamentally is because that's made of iron and these are made of steel here. This is the Type 9 that we tested in the last 2 films. The Type 9 is made of iron entirely. It's a one-piece head, iron socket, iron tip. We know how this reacts now with armour. The tip often deflects and bends, and the neck tends to break or bends and comes off the arrow shaft. What they did to counter that was to invent the Type 16 arrowhead. The London Museum Type 16 arrowhead has still got an iron socket, so it's still cheap to make, but they've now wrapped a piece of hardenable steel over the top. This means that the piece interacting with the armour is high carbon steel. You've also welded over the socket seam, so that can't open up and it can't fail on you. The downside to this is that to make a Type 16 by forge welding is quite difficult. Learning how to forge weld is a skill on its own, but what's easier than that is brazing. So the Type 21B, which is this one here, turns up in around 1450 and becomes the arrowhead of choice. About 350 of these arrowheads were found on the Towton battlefield. They turned up at Tewkesbury as well. We've still got an iron socket, we've still got steel barbs over the top, but this time it's brazed together in the fire, and anybody can hold a piece of metal in the fire, wait for the braze to melt, and you've got a functional arrowhead ready to go. So we need to find out what these 2 different arrowheads do in our flat plate testing and compare them to the Type 9, which you already understand. So we've discussed the arrowhead, but the arrow itself has changed from the first 2 tests as well. Previously we used an ash arrow, which is quite heavy. There are records of ash arrows being used, but we know for a fact they were using aspen. We've got records of them asking for aspen and for banning clog makers from using aspen so they could keep the stocks of the wood for arrows. So we've got an aspen or populus tremula arrow shaft here. Same dimensions as the previous test, but it's quite a lot lighter. Those arrows were around 85, 87 grams. These are in the 50 gram area, so they're going to move a lot quicker.
The problem with shooting at armour and getting comparable results are the curves. Because if you shoot one shot, you can look at the damage, you can see what's happened. If you want to go for a second shot to back up your data, you'll shoot, it'll go in a different place. Different set curves, different material thicknesses. Obviously, shooting flat samples cannot give us a definitive answer on how these arrows would perform against real armour. But because it's flat, we can compare exactly like for like. Different arrows, different shots. So the first thing we need to find out is how each of these 3 arrow types perform leaving Joe's bow.
All right, Joe, so this one has the Type 9 head on it and it's 80 grams.
Okay.
Let's see how it goes. .8 meters per second. So this one's Type 16 and it's 58 grams. 62.5, that one. Okay, and now we've got the 21B and this one's really light at 51 grams. 64.3, that one. That's moving.
Right, now that we've got some velocity readings on the arrows, it's time to shoot stuff. But we're not going to start by shooting at the steel. Armor, protective garments, were made out of a lot of other materials. Actually, textile armor was super common. And I think we need to be shooting at this as well, just to get a better sense of the whole military situation that we're dealing with. Military ordinances in France in the second half of the 15th century say that you should make your jacks, your textile armor, out of 25 layers of linen if it's got a stag skin facing, or 30 layers of linen if it doesn't. And that's this. It seems pretty tough, but is this really going to protect our wearer against arrows? Maybe. I don't know. Let's find out.
So Joe, Type 9 short bodkin against 30 layer cloth jack backed by archery foam.
Okay.
Well, that's pretty obvious what happened. Second one, Type 9 again.
Could you get it more central next time?
I'll try.
Type 16.
Righto.
Well, and again, so another Type 16, lighter than the old Type 9s. Nice. So 21B, and again this is lighter still. So this is the last of the 21Bs. So these are the ones with the brazed on heads and sharpened up like a blade. Right.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the thing to see.
Wow. Do you get some readings?
Yep.
Okay, so we'll do the Type 9s first, shall we? So we've got 18 and we've got 23 there. Type 16s, these are the barbed welded ones. We've got 18 there and we've got 17 there. And Joe, do you want to do the 21Bs?
That one's 24 and that one's off the chart, that one.
So 25 plus.
Okay, so we'll have to measure that one afterwards so we actually get definitive. I'd like to start, and the first thing I'd say is, didn't really work, did it?
He's dead, isn't he?
The suggestion is that whatever this textile armor is for, it isn't for stopping arrows.
What we can see from this is these are our two Type 9 bodkins, aren't they, short bodkins?
Yeah.
So they've gone in, not massively dissimilar to the Type 16s, which are bladed, a lot lighter, a lot faster, less momentum. The only really notable one is that these two here, which are our 21Bs, again they're bladed,
yeah.
7, 8 centimetres, 2.5, 3 inches deeper. But when you're talking about going in this deep anyway, the guy's already dead, so what's 2 inches between friends?
They did behave a little bit differently, just for the future.
They are bladed. They look more like a cutting tool than the diamond section heads, don't they?
But next up, we're going to be talking about male. So we're going to do the same 3 arrowheads again, shooting at male.
Okay, let's do it.
Mail is still used extensively on the battlefield in 1450. So what we've got over there is a commercially made sample of 8mm flat link mail over an arming doublet sample. So that's much thinner than the padded jack before. It's about 3 layers of hemp canvas and linen. So Joe, again, we're going to shoot the 3 arrow types. Right. Take it away.
Type 9, there you go.
Thank you.
But again, that's quite clearly in, isn't it? I mean, there's no doubting
Yeah, the
that.
hasn't stopped there.
In fairness to mail makers, if you go into a mail maker's workshop and you say, I need a collar that is arrow proof, he can do that. If you said, I just need light mail to cover the gaps in my armor for general use in case blades get in there or whatever, that's a different thing.
All right, Joe, another Type 9 bodkin.
Thank you.
Yeah, they're going in, aren't they?
One prediction I'll make, if we're going to see a difference between those two, the Type 9s, I think those are probably just breaking through the links at the rivet or just stretching the links out of the way. The Type 16s maybe, but certainly the 21s, those blades are just going to shear through the main body of the link. It'll look like someone got in there with clippers.
All right, Joe, welded, barbed, hardened, Type 16.
Cool. Thank you.
There's a massive difference in momentum between the arrows, though.
Yeah.
Because of the weight.
Because of the weight. And energy is one thing, and we know that the Type 9s have got more energy anyway. They're heavier. But they're going to have a lot more momentum, and that's going to make a difference to penetration. It always does.
All right, here's your second hardened barb
Thank you.
Type 16.
Went in at a slightly funny angle, didn't it?
Yeah.
All right, so now we can try these brazed, hardened again, Towton type heads.
Oh.
Amazing. Okay, last of your Towton type heads.
Thank you.
Very nice shooting.
Yeah. Very good.
Thank you.
Let's go have a look then.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
This one's a shame, isn't it? But
We have to almost discount that because of the angle it went in at, and you can see now as well that it's much less. However, the others are actually all fairly comparable.
yeah, this is a 9, isn't it? These are the Type 9 bodkins here.
If I can see round. Oh, okay, so that one's gone in beyond our mark.
Okay, that one's on 21.
So then we've got
So that one's Type 16 there.
Type 16 and Type 16, these two. So this one is 21 centimetres in. This one is 14, but it was kind of a weird shot.
And you've got these two here. So that one's 23.
It's gone in beyond the mark as well.
Yeah, so 25 plus again.
Yeah.
Well, let's just remember that we didn't really doubt that these would go through this male. We're mainly interested in, do any of the heads perform differently? Is there an appreciable difference in the way they're getting through?
So obviously, like the previous tests that we've done, everything's going through, but the bladed, barbed ones and the winged ones aren't making a massive difference compared to the bodkin type heads.
So my big takeaway from this is that there's not a significant difference in performance between any of the arrows when they're hitting this male. The guy wearing it is going to be in deep trouble. And if he's using it for protecting his vulnerable areas that may well be protected against sword cut, they're not going to be protected by arrow impact. Would you say that's fair enough?
Definitely.
Yeah, I think so.
There is a broken rivet here. Oh, it stretched that ring. You can actually see the ring is visibly thinner. There we go.
Yeah. Is it that length there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's bent that one out of the way. So I think on that one it opened and split a link. There you go, Toby.
Oh. This is the link that failed against one of the Type 21s. And notice that the rivet is intact and it's sheared right through, like someone took a pair of clippers to it.
This one's interesting as well. It's ultimately cut it,
But it stretched a lot before it did it. You would have thought the joint is the weakest point, but it's cut through the body of the link.
Right, well I think the next test has to be our plate steel. It doesn't need a lot of introduction really, but it is 1.5mm mild steel plate.
Slightly heavier arrow with a Type 9.
Thank you.
And still it amazes me every time. Well done, good shot, Joe.
Thanks.
Okay, here's your second Type 9.
Thank you.
Lovely.
Good shot. So this is where it's all going to change, isn't it?
Yeah. This
Or
now
not.
hasn't been tested, so
But Joe, you've never shot a Type 16 or a 21B at plate?
Nope, never.
Ah,
Will?
no, never.
Toby?
no, obviously not.
Don't know though, there was a little wobble at the end,
Bit of a waggle,
Yeah.
wasn't there?
which suggests to me broken head or very shallow.
Type 16, take 2.
So want to know. Oh,
They're not bouncing out, are they?
Last round. These are the lighter, faster Type 21s with the blades. Did you catch that other one? on
I
the way in
think
there?
the annoying thing about that shot is I think we have to do another because it's so close.
Okay, this is the second lighter Type 21 brazed head. Was that the broken one falling out?
That is,
They're not going as deep, are they?
they're not.
Both of them.
I think I can see the head, but even if I can't, it's not going deeply in.
Okay, because the first shot with the 21 kind of skipped in and may have glanced off of one of the other arrows, we're just going to shoot one more 21 just to be safe.
Okie dokie.
Did you hit the same one again?
Joe!
Arrow.
Good shooting,
Thanks.
but we're going to have to go again, aren't we?
Maybe we should.
Let's go and have a look.
Evaluate the wreckage.
Yeah, let's go and have a look and see what's going on.
I just made it a lot worse.
Unbelievable.
Oh, that's a bit of a mess, isn't it? Trying to work out what's going on.
Oh, wow, yeah.
However, our friend Joe here has just done a Robin Hood.
Yeah.
Hey, look at that.
Is that a head inside
That's
the
a
socket
head
of another?
inside. Yes.
Look, there's all this empty space
Oh,
up
I
here.
know.
The perfectly good test space.
Right. Anyway, we'll celebrate that one afterwards. Goodness, Joe. I knew you were good. So, what have we got? That one. Do we even know what was left of that? That was a 16.
That's
That
the
was
one
this
that
one,
fell
wasn't it?
out.
That's the one. Yeah, that was that one.
Yeah.
That's that one.
Well, we've got our 2 heavy iron Type 9 bodkins here. Penetrated what looks like about...
To the neck, really, isn't it?
Yeah, about 7 centimetres. We've got our Type 16s here,
Yep.
penetrating maybe 30 millimetres, 1.25 inches. Then we have our 21B here, which again has penetrated 20 millimetres, 25 maybe, around an inch. The other one we can't tell because of Joe,
Being too accurate.
by putting another 21B straight down the back of the first one and driving it in further. But assuming that it's much like that. Good shooting, by the way, Joe.
Thank you.
It really is a day for the Type 9s.
Yeah.
They're significantly better against this 1.5 millimetre sheet than the lighter, faster, barbed and bladed arrowheads.
So, what's the virtue of the 16s and the 21s? Which
Well, maybe
really
it's an angle thing.
That's what I'm thinking. If we go out on a limb for a second, the virtue in them might be that they bite better against curved shaped surfaces.
Well, Toby, you're in the right place at the right time. Because this is all well and good getting a good data table together and seeing what it does so we can compare them. But we all want to see some real world results as well. So we've got our chap there who's set up with our breastplate from Arrows versus Armour 2, which is 2.5 millimetres thick in the middle. Joe, are you up for shooting 3 arrows at that? See how they bite. I mean, I think we all know they're not going to go through. But how they interact with it, how they do bite, how they engage with that armour is going to be really interesting. So, you up for it?
I'm definitely up for it.
It's going to be interesting. Just above the stop rib, I think. But, first notable point, didn't go through.
Didn't go through.
But it would be nice to see what that impact is like, because all of the energy of that arrow was expended into the target.
Yep.
Whereas the Type 9, some
The
of that
socket
energy,
opens, the neck bends, yeah.
yeah, it's expended in other things.
It didn't blow up.
Didn't
Didn't blow up,
Also
yeah.
a good point.
That's one shot, as small a data set as we can have so far. But it does seem already to be distinguishing itself from the Type 9s that we already are more familiar with.
It'd be interesting to see sort of a glancing blow on the edge,
Yeah.
where it picks up at maybe 40, 50 degrees, how it bites in then. Right, Joe, so you got another shot there. Now, we could do more, but we're trying to preserve our arrows. So make this an interesting shot, and then we'll give you some more. Otherwise, we'll call it a day.
Make it count.
Make it count. Oh. Well, that got him.
We did get him.
So I think we need some more arrows, don't
Yeah.
we?
Yeah.
Right. Well,
All right.
right, Joe. Keep going.
So we'll do the next one.
Yeah.
That made a hole.
Yeah.
And it didn't blow up.
That made a hole.
And it didn't glance at all.
At all.
Again, it was the same as before, that all of the energy went.
Do it again, do it
again.
again.
Again, again.
So, Joe, right here on the edge of the breastplate, please.
We'll try.
Didn't blow up.
It didn't. It was kind of like a non-event.
Yeah.
What happened?
Right, let's go and have a look.
Yeah. I think
That
it's
is
time,
going to
isn't
be
it?
interesting.
Oh, this is interesting, isn't it, already?
Well, let's begin with the obvious one. No great surprise here. Through the mail, through the arming doublet. Well, there we go. This one.
But that was the last shot.
Okay. Can I just say about this, what's interesting for me is it's collapsed the shaft. It hasn't snapped it like we saw a lot
Yep.
on Arrows versus Armour 2,
This now matches the Westminster Abbey arrow perfectly
because the tip's broken off that one.
in that way.
And the tip is,
It's embedded in there.
In
yeah.
there.
That bottom one there, yeah.
yeah. And then Is
Oh, yeah,
there
the
is
first
there any
shot.
material stuck in that one too? Is that
Yeah.
part of
Yeah.
the head? And there's metal stuck right in there.
Yeah.
So there's the head.
Whether it would go through the aventail, I don't know, but it was long enough and pointy enough that it went through the aventail and the padding and into the steel.
Yep.
Whether it would have actually passed through the aventail is a different thing.
And this one of our previous Type 9 hits to the same breastplate, there's this huge area of denting around it. So that Type 9 is hitting, and then it's just pushing the metal in. And a lot of energy is going into denting it
Yep.
because
Not
of the
into-
shape of the head.
Not into piercing.
And
That
look at
one,
there's hardly any denting around these at all. Everything's going into cutting into the steel. There's a tiny bit of a dent, but nothing like that.
And that was the third shot we did.
Yeah, which is that head there, which looks like it's brand new.
You could shoot that back.
There is there's not a chip, not a mark, not a scrape.
Nope.
It's hard steel, so it is absolutely biting in a
Yep.
way that the old iron Type 9s didn't. So once you get a purchase, you can then keep driving the energy that you've got into
It's
trying
not
to
being
split it
wasted that
open.
way, is it? Yeah.
However, there is less energy available than the Type 9s
Yep.
because they're lighter. It made a hole, but not a significant injuring hole in any way at all. But that breastplate is probably 2.2 millimeters thick at that point.
It's the thickest part of the armor.
So there's no great surprise. Everything about this is really interesting, and it's also intriguing. So although this original helmet from Arrows vs Armour 2 resisted our arrows well, it'll be interesting to see how our new helmet resists, because it's a different beast, and these are very different arrowheads.
This is the thickest, heaviest part of the armor, of any armor just about. You would never expect any arrow to get through that, but you can't wear that on your whole body. And I wonder whether this capacity to really bite is going to matter a lot more when one of these hits anywhere else.
Well, Joe, I mean, what would your estimation be? These arrows are now coming in maybe 25, 28 grams lighter than the Type 9s. What kind of distance improvement is that going to give you?
A huge amount. These will be getting on 300 yards, so that's a huge.
So 50, 60 metres more, maybe?
Yeah, say so. You might do 240 with the other one, so yeah, a good 60 yards on.
That is a huge advantage for a projectile weapon.
Yep.
I mean, we have always said, and I stand by it, that longbows are predominantly used at short range.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that every single day, every single encounter, that's what you want. There will be moments when you do want to harass a target at 300 metres that previously you couldn't, today you can. Yeah. So the thing is, if you have an arrow that doesn't go through that armour anyway, the advantages of having a heavier arrow are gone. So you may as well have a lighter arrow, which still does the mail, still does perhaps the light armour,
Yep.
arm armour maybe, will do fabric armour, but it also has a greater range on it.
I think the fact that I only shot 4 arrows at it and put a hole in it, whereas last time I shot tens of arrows at it
Yep.
and didn't put any holes in
That is very true, actually, because this has run through the whole of the Arrows vs Armour 2 testing series of all of the assorted films, and there is one previous hole in it. So what I am thinking is bring on the main film.
Can't wait.
Because when we get our soldier from 1450, brigandine, arms, helmet, mail, this is going to be absolutely fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the fact that we're going to have 7 archers will make a huge difference as well.
Yep.
So, 7 times the arrows.
7 times the arrows, 7 times the weird chance,
Yeah,
lucky
exactly,
shots,
Yeah.
7 times the possibility of getting through an eye slit, which is the holy grail of shooting helmets, isn't it? So this has been fantastically useful for us today, giving us insights in how these arrows are going to work when we do our main film about this fellow here. And like I said, shooting hardened Type 16 arrowheads at our soldier here. But before we go, we've all got to thank the people who contributed to this project. So thank you so much for allowing this to happen. And just watch out for the next film, because it is going to be fabulous. Bye.